Mr. Museveni is expected to win by virtue of opinion polls that have been conducted. What's counting in his favor?
You know, the debate about these opinion polls in Uganda is centers on the question of whether they actually reflect a valid picture of public opinion, primarily because one has to ask the question of whether Ugandan society is really the kind of society where you can rely on people's opinions about not only their voting intentions, but what they're actually going to do on the election day itself. Also, the previous 3 elections in which President Museveni has participated, his level of support has been declining, right from 1996 to 2006. But the opinion polls this time around have suggested that his level of support has actually gone up drastically. Now, the question that people are asking themselves is, what has he done to turn around public opinion in that kind of way? And there is really no obvious explanation. If you look at the level of support for his major rival, Kizza Besigye, which is allegedly down by 14 percentage points, the question again is, why has the public turned around and turned against Kizza Besigye? And there is no obvious reason for that. So people have a lot of doubt about the validity of those polls, but I'm sure that in the next 24 hours we shall know whether they were valid or not.
Nonetheless, what is it that both candidates are offering? Obviously, President Museveni is the incumbent. He's been in power for over 25 years, and he's been credited with turning the Ugandan economy around, growing at an average of about 6.5%, 7%, and expected to grow even exponentially once oil flows in the first quarter of 2012.
In terms of their manifestos, really, they are not very far apart. Both parties, both candidates are promising to do very similar things. Now, when it comes to the question of oil, over and above the speculation about what kind of impact oil is going to have on the economy, there are questions about how these revenues are going to be managed. And given the record of President Museveni's government, which is arguably the most corrupt government Uganda has had in history, there is no confidence among members of the public that these resources are going to be managed properly. Now, if you go to where the oil has been discovered, people in those areas are asking, what is in it for them? What kind of percentages of these resources are going to be left? In the areas where the oil is going to be drilled, President Museveni is very dodgy on the question. He doesn't give straight answers. Now, the opposition leader has said very clearly that he will leave a significant portion of these revenues in the areas where the oil is going to come from. So people in those areas are likely to vote on the basis of these very clear promises made by the opposition and the vague dodging of the question by President Museveni. So I don't think that people are going to think very much about the impact of the oil on the economy in the future. Now, looking at President Museveni's 25-year record, he has done well. That is true. The economy has grown. The country has changed a lot. The country has stabilized politically. Security has improved. But President Museveni's record is also littered with a huge number of failures in very, very many sectors. The infrastructure is falling apart. Public services are abysmal in terms of their quality. Levels of corruption have shot through the roof. The incompetence of the government is a subject of discussion. So there is really no confidence among a large number of Ugandans that if he wins the election, it's going to be different over the next 5 years.
All right, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what the electoral decides at the weekend.